Welcome, class. I'm going to go over the annotated bibliography MLA format a little bit for you because this will be due for your conference. So, what I want to start with, this format is actually a little bit out of date. I'm not going to worry about it too much because most teachers are not going to worry about it too much. But what you want to see is just the basic setup here, which is each source in MLA format with the hanging indent, meaning there's a space under the name so we can easily see the author's last name. The whole list is alphabetized by either author's last name, or sometimes this is a group author, or sometimes if you don't have an author, you do it by the first word of the title of the article, like this one. And then what you have is a double-spaced paragraph that summarizes what the article is about and a little bit about how you plan to use it in your paper. And so this is the basic setup. Most of it you can look at on your own, but I think the big question is, how do I get the setup right for these citations? And you just want to know a few basic things. I'm going to show you how to do some generators that'll do it for you, and we'll set these up for you. But you want to know a little bit about what I'm looking for when I look at these. And here's what I'm looking for. I want to make sure that if it's an article, you've got the article title. And then I also want to look at this because this is usually the journal that it was initially published in. I want to see that it's a good academic journal. And then I also want to check page numbers, which should be, let's see, I don't think these sources have page numbers, so I'm going to have to show you that somewhere else. But I also check the length to see how long the page numbers are. So you got to kind of know a little bit about the basics about how to indicate titles. And so just a reminder, your article titles are in quotation marks, your journal or your magazine titles are in italics, or your book titles are also in italics. So just think to yourself, the larger the format, like the book or the whole magazine or the whole journal is in italics, but the little short article that the author wrote, that's in quotation marks. So how do we get a source into this format? Wanted to start with the library for you and a library source. So here's how a typical source looks when you get it from the library. And as I've said before, you can get some really good sources because you're able to check that box for journal articles and just get academic journal articles, and then that's where you get the good studies. That's where you get a lot of the good study data. You get a nice long article. I generally like to email them to myself because if you do that, here, look, you can have MLA citation already marked, and at the very beginning of your email, it'll say works cited format, and it'll all be set up for you so that you can just cut and paste it right into your annotated bibliography. If for some reason you don't want to email it to yourself, if you hit Cite over here and scroll down, you can also just cut and paste this entry. Make sure it says MLA though, because you want to get MLA and not some other format. So that's basically how you do that. Let's see if I can get back to where I was here. Okay, it takes me back to the result list. You do want to know yourself a little bit, if in case you end up in some sort of situation where you have to generate these yourself. You do want to know that the authors are here, and that's generally what goes first, that this is the actual article title here, sort of centered above, and where it says source, that's generally the journal title. Okay, they should have page numbers also listed somewhere. Don't see them here. Maybe it's a longer piece, but you're eventually going to see the page numbers once you open it up. This could be a pamphlet, that might be why. Okay, so that's how you do your MLA straight from the library. You also have free source generators that you can use online, citation generators you can use online. EasyBib, well, and you want to set it for MLA 8, which is the latest. Be careful here. If you say online database, it might not give you a chance to put in a journal title, so you might want to go with journal instead. And also, if you can find the DOI number, or if you can just put in the URL, sometimes it will generate the citation for you. Let me see if this one that we looked at has a DOI number. It has this ISSN number. I'm not sure whether that does the same thing for you or not. It's got a release date. Ah, here you go. digital object identifier, DOI. Let's see if this works. We would just take this, copy it, go over to EasyBib, put it in here, hit Cite. It looks like the right thing's coming up because we've got the correct title here. Consider your source's credibility. Oh, it's still going to make you ask those good questions about whether it's a good source or not. And then you can just say Cite and continue. It's just kind of doing some double checking for you. And a little bit more double checking for you. Say update citation. And yeah, here it generated just from this DOI number that we put in. It generated the authors, the title of the journal, the date that it was published, and the DOI number. So that's pretty great. Also, Purdue University does the Purdue Online Writing Lab, also known as the OWL, which we use a lot in here. And this also has an automatic generator. So let's see if we can get the DOI in here and see if it works. We'll say it's a journal article. We'll give it the DOI number. It's probably the same. Yep. And it's got the same article, and we can select it here and kind of go through the same process that we would do in EasyBib. So those are a couple ways to do it. What's nice about doing it on Purdue OWL is that if you get lost and you have to do it yourself by hand, there is a whole bunch of links here for you that you can hit. And if we go to MLA Works Cited Electronic Sources, let's say you have to do a website by yourself, you can just go here and it'll give you the basic setup if you had to do it by hand, what comes first, what comes second. I'll give you a hint. It's generally author, then title of the article in quotation marks because that's what they wrote, then title of the journal. But this will give you a bunch of samples and a basic setup for them. So if you get lost, you can't get the automatic citation generator to do it for you. You have to do it by hand. That's how you do it. You can also use URL. This is a study on tobacco cessation, and if I just copy the URL here and go to the Purdue OWL and say website and put in that URL, and there it is. Actually, that might have been the one that came up with the last one that I did, but that doesn't really matter. So here it is, and then you would go through that process again, which I'm not going to bother you with it to get it all set up. So you guys are lucky. You have a lot of automatic generators that'll do the work for you. Eventually, you're going to be turning this annotated bibliography into the works cited for your paper, so it will save you a lot of time to have everything set up in MLA format for the conference. Because let me show you eventually what your works cited is going to look like. Is here, the last page of your paper. You take out those little paragraphs, and this is the setup. So it's nice to have all the work done on the annotated bibliography, because then when you do the works cited, easy peasy, and you're done. So let me know if you have questions. I just wanted to go through the basics. I will give you guys the links to everything that I talked about here, and I will help you with any questions in class, and good luck.